Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Hey, I'm Greer, host of the Unfinished Idea podcast, mom to 2 boys and 2 dogs, and raising a child with additional needs. Our day-to-day experience isn't being talked about in everyday life, so let's start the conversation. Whether you're a parent, a friend, a teacher, or a neighbor, everyone is welcome to join us over a cup of coffee as we help bring awareness and better understanding about neurodiversity and families who are raising children with additional needs. We're here to share the joys, the struggles, and the differences, as well as learn and grow and feel seen and heard by how we interact with each other and the world. Welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. Today's episode is a little different as we talk with friends who sit around our Thanksgiving table and share life with us. We ask them about what they notice about our life and how we raise a neurodivergent kid. You'll hear a few different voices who have journeyed with us over the last 10 plus years. For those celebrating, we hope you have a wonderful day with your friends and family. And for those who this is just a typical Thursday, take a moment and text someone you are grateful for. So I'm excited for you to hear our conversations with people we get to share Thanksgiving with. You have known for about 8 years, I think now. And so that means you've been, in our life when we got married and having babies. You've been around for a little while and you've seen how we parent. But how would you describe our parenting?
It's different to what I've seen, but different in a good way. That I can see that you tend to needs with a lot more detail than usual parenting. And like things that other parents would just maybe bat off or just say, oh, go do this. Like there's an attention to detail that you have for the needs of the kids that I haven't seen in others. And like I have a nephew like that's the same age as your son, and I've seen how my brother and his wife parent, and it's like both ways are great, but it is different. There's an attention to detail which I've noticed, which I really appreciate seeing that, because there's like a patience with it that is actually supernatural, legit, like supernatural patience as well.
Thanks. Not always.
Okay.
Okay. So you come over a lot. You are our oldest son's godmother.
Very proud of that as well.
You're over a lot. How would you describe him, say, in 5 words or a couple sentences?
5 words. That's so hard. He's brave. That's the top one. He's brave. He is an adventurer. He's curious. He's fun, and he's so kind. I'd say kind and loving in one. Like he cares a lot. He's amazing. I love him.
Yeah. I think his caring is something that I also appreciate, but also his caring, he cares a lot, which then can sometimes get him mad.
Yeah. It's a fiery care.
Yeah. And then he can sometimes get in trouble with that because he cares not necessarily too much, but like you say, fire care. So how you have sat at our Thanksgiving table for many years. What is one thing that you have watched as you sat with us for many meals, not just Thanksgiving, but as you sat at our table with us? What have you seen? What's one observation?
I think one observation, which I love this as well, is that there's zero pretense or politeness, which we have a lot of in British culture, that you go to someone's home and you see what they want you to see. Whereas coming round your table at Thanksgiving, you see everything. And that's good, bad, everything. You see everything in every sense of the word. And I really appreciate that because it instantly makes me feel way more part of the family. Like I'm part of it. I'm not an outsider observing something that's going on. Like I'm in it. And I relate to a lot of things as well. You know, the chaos of it all, that's how my mind is at times. And to see that, I actually find comfort in that because it makes me feel normal. So there's something there that's just, it feels like home to me when I'm at that table because you're straight in. There's no layers of politeness with it. You're straight in and what you see is what you get. And I like that. I like that a lot. It's unique and it's special.
Yeah. Yeah. We like that. That's what we want. People feel right at home. So thank you. I'm glad that's how you feel. How would you say our son, I don't know if different is the right word, but how is he uniquely made? Yeah. How would you say he's uniquely made?
I would describe him being uniquely made in a sense that where people have a base level to the feelings and emotions they exhibit, his are like 10 times that, which I think are superpowers. I actually like, he feels deeply, which is such a gift to this world. Like in a world that needs compassion, to have someone like your son, my godson, that has a compassion that's 10 times, that means anyone that he meets in the future or whether even now, like they're going to feel that so much more deeper. And I think that's the biggest thing about my godson that I just love, that everything with him is 10 times. But that also means his cheekiness is 10 times. That means his fun is 10 times and his tantrums or difficulties are 10 times. But there's something about that I just adore about him because it is that thing that makes him different. He's the one that stands out to me in the best way because he's got his superpowers. Everything is just deeper, which I think for all of those qualities, the world needs a deeper sense of it, you know?
He feels deeply, which, like you say,
he does.
Very good sometimes and sometimes very difficult. So my last question is, what would you want the world to know, having observed our family and seeing, you know, how our family works and acts? What would you want the world to know about neurodiversity or being, you know, being neurodiverse or neurodivergent?
I think I'd want people to know that it's a gift. It's not a lack. It's not a lack of thing. It's a gift. Like that's the only way I can put it, that it is a positive thing for this world. It's challenging for those that have it and for those that are in it every day, but it is a gift and it's something that actually brings better things to the world because it, you know, like I described, you know, your son, like everything's 10 times. With all those positive attributes, that's amazing. Even with some of the negative ones, it's still amazing because, you know, if he's coming to my defense in the future, I want someone who can defend me 10 times what I need, within reason, of course. But I think, the biggest thing is that it's a gift. It's not a lack of, it's a gift.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. Well, thank you for joining us on The Unfinished Idea and for taking time to share how you see our family and just kind of glimpses of the joys, the struggles, and the differences. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having a great family.
Okay, Becca is joining us as part of the conversation, as she has sat around my Thanksgiving table when we were neighbors. And she still comes around. She still loves us enough to come around. So, Becca, how would you describe our son?
Well, my first thoughts when I think about this earlier was that he is playful and energetic, but he just cares and loves so deeply. Like, so caring and kind as well. And that's all the things that come to mind when I think of him.
And one of the things I think, this is a memory, at least a core memory for me, probably not for him, is him being like completely naked and answering the door. Or we were giving you a package and he was just naked. And it was like the first time we were meeting you. And he was just there in all of his glory, not like shameful or anything. He was just like, yep, this is me. And you're just like, cool. Yeah. So that will be a memory that I will hold forever, because I also think it's a testament of who you are, that you're still friends with us, even though my son was often naked when he answered the door to you. So next question is, how would you describe how we parent? How have you observed us?
I think that you are really understanding of what Zeke needs. You explain everything to him, so he's always understanding what's going on and why. And I think you're really fair and inclusive, and just, what he needs is always kind of forefront of what you think about, but also just kind of fun, and you want them to have a good time.
We aim for a good time. What is something that you, like, as you sat around our dinner table, so to speak, that you observed, like, kind of, I guess, not about our house in like a physical way, but just in like, as in our family, as in, kind of like, I guess, our family dynamics?
Yeah, the word that always comes to mind is kind of inclusive. You always want them to be involved. You sit around the table. You have like good expectations of what they should like have and do, but then also if it's not right for them, then they don't have to sit there up at the table, or if it's not kind of good for them in that moment, it's not pressure to do anything. Just like the time we had pizza, we were around the table talking, and if it wasn't right for them, then they don't have to be there, but you want them to be part of it if they can be.
You're a teacher as well, and how do you balance that idea of like what works for them they do, and then what doesn't work for them they don't do, kind of that idea of how we eat around the table? How do you balance that in your classroom?
So I always try and include everyone. We do adaptive learning where we kind of, everyone has the end goal, but it might be scaffolded to make it easier for them. And then if they're not in the right frame of mind, or it's not the right time for them, then they can have a brain break and they can go and out the classroom or sit in the reading corner and have a bit of time before they're ready to come and do the learning. Because if I was feeling pressured to do something, I think my brain would shut down and not want to do it. So you've got to think of them and how, if they're ready to do what you want them to do.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Yeah. What is a brain break?
A brain break could be anything, just a pause in their learning. If you think that they are kind of losing focus, it could be a walk out the corridor and back in again, just so they can reset. For some children, it can be a job to do, so you can send them to another teacher, and that teacher is aware of the child, so you might give them a little job to do, just so they can have a bit of time away. For some children, it could just be a little bit of colouring or reading a book, just to take them away from whatever they're trying to focus on, and then they can come back to it feeling refreshed.
Okay, and my last question is, what is something you would want the world to know about neurodivergent people?
I think we can learn a lot from neurodivergent people, just about how they think. It's just kind of out of the box thinking, and the creativity. And I think we can even use those ideas and practices to make changes in our own lives and things that we do.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your insights and thoughts around how we do Thanksgiving. Okay, Johnny and Ellie, Johnny's known Chris for
12 years.
12 years!
Yeah,
wow. That's almost as long as I've known him. Or longer. You've known him longer than I've known him. Anyways, so you've known Chris for 12 years. Johnny and Ellie are married. So Ellie has known Chris for 11 years? 10 years?
Yeah, probably 11 years, I suppose, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you were both in our wedding, so you've known me, probably about 11 years.
Yes, I think I've known you pretty much all of that time too, because I think you and Chris have been together most of the time that we've been together. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've seen us dating, engaged, married, and now with kids. And we have traveled to the UK together in the sense that you moved to the city and we moved to the city, so you can no longer move.
We'll let you know where we're going
now.
next.
It's like... So you have seen all sorts of walks of our lives. And you have sat around our Thanksgiving table before kids. We had Thanksgiving at your house 1 year. But since then, although you have not physically sat around our Thanksgiving table, you have been around. You have seen us. And so how would you describe our son in 5 words or a sentence?
I thought about this and I was like, he is like the little puppy that greets you when you get home. Like I was thinking about whenever I come to your home, he will like run to the door full of joy. And he's like, hi, look at this. Let me show you these things. And it's just like, he is the little excitable puppy that everybody needs.
Great to come home to. Yeah, the kind of phrases I was thinking of was a carer and a sharer, because particularly like the sharing side, he's always bringing things to you and saying, oh, would you like this? Particularly around food as well, whether it's like a cracker or a bit of chocolate that he's already bitten some of. It's like, would you like the rest of it? And it's like, he just wants to share so much of what he has, and really loves that. And the carer side as well of, when we've had our boys round to yours, and whether one of them's feeling a little kind of upset or just tired and kind of not kind of involved in what's happening, he'll come over and be like, are you okay? What's wrong? And try to like cheer them up. And so he notices that, and he's got kind of like that carer instinct in him as well. So a carer and a sharer. It's a little phrase.
That's a good phrase. A carer sharing puppy dog. That's very good. Yeah. I would agree with all those things that he is like a puppy dog. I hadn't really thought about that before, but that is very true. Anytime I walk, even if I'm like walking out the door to like take the rubbish out and I come back, he's like right there, like, where'd you go? Yeah. You're back. Yay. Yeah. How would you describe how we parent our kids?
That's a good question. I think one thing that I've seen that as you've understood your kids more and more, there's always that sense of like desire to learn about them. I know with knowing Chris, he's constantly reading books after book after book. It's mainly listening to them on podcasts and things about how to be a kind of intentional parent and how to really cater for their needs and their stage of life and their growth and their development. So there's that real intentionality. And I think as you've discovered kind of more of their needs, it's then being like an advocate for them to make sure those needs are met as well. So then there's real just intentionality in how you want to invest in your kids and see them thrive and be in a context where they're getting the encouragement and the support that is going to help them to best do that. So that's been great to see.
And the only thing to add to that is I think you're very calm parents. I was reflecting on this and I was like, I don't think you've seen me lose my cool with my kids. I don't think I've ever seen you or Chris lose your cool. It's like they're very calm. You're very, calm environment and stable. Yeah. Well done.
Even in the midst of chaos.
Yeah. I always think my house is so chaotic. So I'm glad you see calm.
But you're not.
Yeah. Both Becca and Sandeep also said that. And I just want to reassure you, we do lose our calm. It's not, but we try and, ask for forgiveness. That's what we want. But yes, don't. Just know that we do.
It's not just us.
If you learn anything from this podcast, it's, I also lose my calm. But how have you observed our family over the years? The question is kind of around the dinner table, but I'm aware that you've seen us kind of more in different settings. So how have you observed our family?
With this question, I feel like it's just the observation that we have been around the dinner table, or like the metaphorical dinner table, so many times. Like, you as a family are so hospitable. It's like we've been to so many randomly themed parties. Like, I was like, Australian New Year's Eve. Like, remember that? Like, and you're a family that, and there's always, every time we come to something, there's different people there. And Johnny talked about, your boys have that as well, of offering people things, and that kind of almost like a gene of hospitality, I suppose. Yeah, you are a family that wants others around the table with you and invites that and creates that, and is intentional. So that's that intentional word again. Yeah, you're really intentional with that and always have been. So yeah, I think it was more like, it's not like what we observe when we do that. It's just that we have observed that. Yeah. So thank you for always being intentional with us and being invitational. Yeah. It's a real blessing.
Yeah. It kind of shows another aspect of like, you're a family that wants to celebrate things as well. So there's always that desire to celebrate, and that might be celebrating a person, that might be celebrating a culture or an event or any sort of reason to be able to celebrate. And I think that creates that kind of that fun dynamic, and any excuse to use the pizza oven and to kind of decorate the house and do little crafts and dip pretzels in chocolates. Yeah, I think there's a desire to celebrate as a family and different things. So
yeah, someone said to me once, they said, "Is this you or being American that you celebrate everything?" And I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe it's my family. Like, I don't. I was like, I don't know. But I also like to blame the American. Like, Americans like to celebrate and eat everything. So,
and you do it well.
Yeah. My goal in life is to make sure Brits, they celebrate a bit more. So, got to start at home. Having, kind of been in our lives, and I know, others who are neurodivergent as well, but what is something you want the world to know about neurodivergent people?
I mean, this is something that I kind of turn that on myself a little bit of, I think I still have a lot to learn about the neurodivergent kind of community and what it means to be kind of neurodivergent. And I think it's, for me, trying to have that willingness to understand and take that time to do that, and then be willing to respond to it, and take the time to think through, how does this then affect the actions I need to take or the way things are framed and structured. So I think my kind of message is one that I kind of is reflected back on myself of people need it's important to take the time to understand, and then to reflect on that understanding to see what then is the response to that. And it's, yeah, I don't have loads of experience with that kind of in general. So I think it's still an aspect of life that I need to still dive into and better understand. So I think I'm still part of that learning process.
Yeah, and I think mine is just kind of adding to that of like just remembering the importance of neurodivergent voices, and like Johnny's doing that learning and doing that by listening to neurodivergent people. And I think particularly adults. So like on social media accounts, like I follow quite a lot of accounts of either neurodivergent adults or families who are raising neurodivergent children like yourselves, and just listening to those experiences. But particularly of adults, it's been really, really eye-opening to hear about their experiences when they were children, and to be able to reflect on that and reflect on how are we supporting children, and what are the kind of positives that have come out of that, and what things really need to change. What things did we think were the right thing to do 10 years ago that actually now adults are saying that was really traumatic. So yeah, I think just doing that learning and remembering that particularly adult neurodivergent voices are so crucial to that learning. So yeah,
that's a good answer, both of them. It was really fun hearing your personalities as well. I know the audience will not know you guys, but I do. And hearing one to reflect a lot, which is definitely their personality, and one is I don't want to say they don't like to reflect. I don't want to diss anyone here, but it's a bit yeah, this is my thoughts. So thank you very much for sharing and taking time, not just being on the podcast, but also thinking about what you were going to say and the questions I've asked. So thank you very much. To Did you know that we do a bi-weekly, meaning every other week, newsletter? It is often a place where you can find information about the podcast, some helpful resources, and always a point to ponder on. So sign up with the link below and go out there and have a great week. Continue the conversation, and we will see you next week.